What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, with another edition of Where, Pick, and Dare, where I pick games for the various games that are occurring tomorrow. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, basically whatever games I want to pick, I will pick them. With all that being said, on with the video. MLB, Chicago Cubs versus Milwaukee Brewers, Game 5. So the series is tied 2-2, and the Cubs have a 42.2% chance to win, while the Brewers have a 57.8% chance to win. This is at Milwaukee. At the time of recording this, there's no information about who's pitching. So the only thing I can really go by right now is you know home field advantage. So with that all that information, I think the Brewers will beat the Cubs tomorrow to win the series and move on to the next round. College football. Ohio State Buckeyes versus Illinois fighting the Illini. So Ohio State has an 82.2% chance to win, and Illinois is a 17.8% chance to win. This is at Illinois. So Ohio State is number 1 in the nation, 5-0 record. Illinois is 17 in the nation, 5-1 record. So this could be an interesting game. So quarterbacks, you have Sayan for Ohio State, 101 of 126, the 13 yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 receptions. Altmaier for Illinois, 109, 148, 1573, 12 touchdowns. So decent stats for both quarterbacks. This could be good. So very interesting for I mean, obviously Illinois lost by 53 to Indiana, and yeah. So honestly, Ohio State's favorite, as they should be. Like, like you know, the spread's 14.5, which is kind of big for a ranked versus ranked matchup. But I think you know, I think Ohio State's a lot better than Illinois. Like, I don't think it's going to be close. Like the 14.5 might really be a little low of a spread. But since it's ranked versus ranked, like I understand being at least that low, even though price should be higher. So I think Ohio State will beat Illinois tomorrow. Alabama Crimson Tide versus Missouri Tigers. So Alabama has a 63.4% chance to win, and Missouri has a 36.6% chance to win. This is at Missouri. So Alabama's 8 in the nation, 4-1 record. Missouri's 14 in the nation, 5-0 record. So yeah, this could be an interesting game. So quarterbacks, you have Ty Simpson for Alabama, 111 of 158, 1478 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. Perbula for Missouri, 110, 145, 1203 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 receptions. So, obviously from a quarterback standpoint, it seems that, Simpson is the better one just based off of numbers. Obviously, he's played better than he did his first week when Alabama lost to Florida State. So, Alabama, of course, is favored. It's only by 3.5. Like, what's real? Alabama's generally going to be favored against Missouri. And so it's been a while since Missouri's beaten Alabama. Basically, it hasn't happened since 1975, and neither time since then has Alabama like beaten them by small numbers. Like Bama's been able to beat Missouri pretty badly. So obviously, Missouri, they've had one of the best starts in a long time. But this could be a pretty good game. This could be a good game, and I think obviously it's be an interesting game for Eli Drinkwitz. So like if Missouri does win, that would put Drinkwitz in the Coach of the Year contention, and it should. So, and I think, and this is at Missouri, so that's gonna be a big deal. I think Alabama, of course, they should be fair, so there's a good chance of winning. With it being at Missouri, I think Missouri will beat Alabama tomorrow, and it will be one of the biggest wins of the year. So I think. I think Missouri will win and have one of the biggest wins of the year. Indiana Hoosiers versus Oregon Ducks. So Indiana has a 32.2% chance to win, and Oregon has a 67.8% chance to win. This is at Oregon. So Indiana is 7 in the nation, 5-0 record. Oregon is 3 in the nation, 5-0 record. So two undefeated teams, top 10. College game days go into this game. So it's a big game. So you have quarterbacks. You have Mendoza for Indiana, 89 at 122, 1208 yards, 16 touchdowns, one interception. Moore for Oregon, 100 of 134, 1210 yards, 14 touchdowns, one interception. So pretty comparable stats for quarterbacks. Obviously Moore is seen as the better one amongst the two. So this could be a pretty good game. Obviously Indiana had that big win over Illinois earlier this year. And of course you have, Dan Lanning being a really good coach for Oregon. Kurt Kignetti being fine for Indiana over the past few years. So yeah, and obviously with Oregon, they beat, Penn State in a close double overtime win. Of course, Penn State lost to UCLA. Yeah, and got out AP top 25 because of that. So who knows how good that win against Penn State actually is for Oregon. But with this being at Oregon, I think that they will beat Indiana tomorrow. Oklahoma Sooners versus Texas Longhorns. So the Red River rivalry. So Oklahoma has a 39.4% chance to win. Texas has a 60.6% chance to win. This game, it's at the Cotton Bowl Stadium, in Arlington, Texas. So, obviously it's, well, it's in doubt. Yeah, so it's obviously it's neutral site. But so, believe this game will generally be like, kind of like a lot of your major neutral site rivalry games. It's 50-50. So home field advantage is not a big deal here, comparatively. Like, it's not. Kind of like with Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville. So, with quarterbacks, the tier for Oklahoma, 95 and 141 yards, 12, 15 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. If he's able to play, that will be a big deal for Oklahoma. Because if he's not able to play, Oklahoma is kind of screwed. And I'm not necessarily counting that. Of course, you have Arch Manning for Texas. 81, 135, 1151 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Arch has not necessarily lived up to the hype. You know, so this could be a good game. Could be pretty low scoring, especially if Mateer is not able to play. So if he's able to play, that will really help. And of course, their defense, Oklahoma's defense leads the nation in only in yards allowed per game. It only allowing a total of 193 yards per game total. And so, of course, Texas, they lost to Florida. Like, they lost to Florida. So, with the Oklahoma defense, and, obviously to, Yeah. Now Texas is some reason they're fair. They're fair 1.5, which is kind of right. I thought. I mean, I guess that's due to Mateer potentially being out. So, which I guess is the only reason. Or if Mateer was confirmed to be playing, he's right now he's listed as probable, and then so basically it's believe that looks like probably means there's a decent chance he will play. So due to that, I think that and with the way Oklahoma's defense is played and how Arch probably will struggle against that defense. If Batir is able to play, if he's listed probable, so it means there's a decent chance he'll play. So due to that, I think Oklahoma is gonna beat Texas tomorrow. Iowa State Cyclones versus Colorado Buffaloes. So Iowa State has a 63.3% chance to win, and Colorado is a 36.7% chance to win. This is at Colorado. So Iowa State is 22 in the nation, 5-1 record. Colorado is unranked and has a 2-4 record. The only reason I'm picking this game because the spread is 2.5. So I'm guessing it must be because it's at Colorado. Now with quarterbacks you have Becht for Iowa State, 109, 168, 14, 17 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Salter for Colorado, 77, 117, 901 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So, okay, I don't really understand why in the world the spread's that low. Like, oh, come on, really? Like, really? The spread's that low? Like, I wouldn't. There's a part where the kind of like does not want to care enough to make a pick in this game, but it's like, who the frick? Um, So like put the spread that low, like that is that is Colorado's overhyped. Like that is overhyped. I was like, oh, you got prime time, you know, prime time Deion Sanders. Like no, like no. This team Oklahoma, like dude, Colorado's not good. Like Colorado's one of the most overrated teams ever. And they're 2-4. I mean, what is this? This is like you're giving them a spread that low. I mean, it's not as stupid as let's say giving a player on a team with a losing record the Heisman Trophy. Oh wait, that happened before. That was with Notre Dame. Johnny Majors deserved that Heisman, by the way. But no, the spread, Colorado's overrated. This is at Colorado, but I think Iowa State's gonna beat the crap out of them tomorrow. I don't think it's gonna be close. Like I'm picking straight up. I would pick Iowa State. If I was picking against the spread, I would be picking Iowa State. Like Iowa State's winning tomorrow. Arkansas Razorbacks versus Tennessee Volunteers. Arkansas has a 17.5% chance to win, and Tennessee is an 82.5% chance to win. This is at Tennessee. So Arkansas is unranked with a 2-3 record. Tennessee is 12 in the nation, 4-1 record. So yeah, the spread for this one is 9.5 at the time of recording this. That is the only reason I'm talking about it. Is because of the how low the spread is. It should be higher. So of course for quarterbacks you have Green for Arkansas, 98, 158, 13, 98 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 receptions. Aguiar for Tennessee, 102, 157, 14, 59 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 receptions. So pretty comparable numbers as far as quarterbacks go. You know, pretty comparable. You could probably say Aguiar is the better quarterback of the two. Having more touchdowns and more passing yards, but it's pretty comparable. And with this being at Tennessee and with how much better Tennessee is than Arkansas, the spread should not be that low. It should be a lot higher. I think Tennessee is going to beat the crap out of Arkansas tomorrow. Florida Gators versus Texas A&M Aggies. Uh, Florida has a 26% chance to win, and A&M has a 74% chance to win. This is at Texas A&M. So yeah, the only reason I'm picking this game is because the spread's 7.5. Like this is another pretty low spread. So Florida is unranked 2-3 records. A&M is 5 in the nation, 5-0 record. So yeah, this could be. I mean, this could be interesting. So quarterbacks you have Lagway for Florida, 104, 151, 988 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 receptions. Marcel Reed for A&M, a 6 of 144, 1256 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 receptions. So Reed is a significantly better quarterback than Lagway. Like basically, Reed is better. Like this spread should not be low. A&M is a very tough place to play if you're an away team. It is a tough place to play, and Reed is a lot better than Lagway. Like you know, and it was like, oh, Florida just upset Texas. Yeah, one that was in the swamp. The swamp is one of the hardest places to play in if you're an away team, and Arch has not lived up to the hype. Like this is at A&M. Florida's not gonna have that same kind of success. A&M will beat Florida tomorrow, I think, by good bits. And it's always a good day to see the Gators lose. It's always a good day when Florida loses, except it's to those darn Yellow Jackets. But generally, it's a good day to see Florida lose, and I think A&M will beat Florida tomorrow. Georgia Bulldogs versus Auburn Tigers. So Georgia has a 64.5% chance to win, and Auburn has a 35.5% chance to win. This is at Auburn. So Georgia's 10 nation 4-1 record. Auburn is unranked 3-2 record. The spread for this is 3.5 in favor of Georgia. A lot of that has to do with it being at Auburn. Jordan Hare Stadium is a very tough stadium to play in. It is one of the toughest stadiums to play in. I wouldn't call it the toughest. That'd probably be Death Valley in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Like LSU stadium, like LSU is probably the toughest stadium to visit. Auburn is definitely up there. Like if this was in Athens, I wouldn't probably wouldn't even bother making a pick on it because if it was in Athens, yeah, Alabama has just beaten Georgia in Athens. There's so many problems with that. Like Kirby Smart needs to get through his freaking head that Nick Saban's no longer at Alabama. Grow some freaking balls and destroy the Crimson Tide. Like Nick Saban's not there anymore. Don't hold back on them. Like, come on. Like, like basically, yeah. Like basically, someone actually needs to is like someone needs to have a talk with Kirby about like really just beat Alabama, beat Bama. I mean, this is Auburn, but beat Bama. You beat them once in the national championship game for the 2021 season, like, and now it's after losing them in the SEC championship. You've beaten Bama before. You can do it again. Get through your thick freaking skull that Nick Saban's no longer there. Yes, some of the players he recruited are still there, and this is a prime opportunity. Now Gunnar Stockton's, yeah, there's so many problems. So with quarterbacks, we have Gunnar Stockton for Georgia, 91 of 132, 6 touchdowns, 1 reception, 1047 yards. Jackson Arnold for Auburn, 87 of 134, 846 yards, 5 touchdowns. So as far as who's better, the numbers make it pretty comparable. As far as who's actually better, I mean, I've not been impressed with Stockton at all. I don't think he's good. Arnold, the numbers aren't very flattering in comparison. And, so, then so it's hard to say. Like, so this could be a low scoring game. Like, neither quarterback has really done a lot to impress. I mean, Arnold might be slightly better, but Stockton, like, I'll say, I do not think Stockton's going to be a starter next year for Georgia. I don't think so. Like, and this is at Auburn. So this could be a low scoring game. So more of a defensive battle. That being at all, if this was in Athens, I would be picking Georgia, no question. And while I want Georgia to win, since I'm posting this on YouTube, I gotta be objective in how I'm picking. I I have to be objective. Objectively, unfortunately, in the Deep South's oldest rivalry, I have to be, if I'm being objective, I have to pick Auburn to win this game. I do not want to do that, but objectively, I have to pick Auburn to win this game. So I think Auburn will beat Georgia tomorrow. Michigan Wolverines versus USC Trojans. So Michigan has a 31.7% chance to win, and USC has a 68.3% chance to win. This is at USC. So, Michigan's 15 in the nation, 4-1 record. USC's unranked 4-1 record. So, quarterbacks, you have, you know, Bryce Underwood for Michigan, 77, 130, 1,003 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 reception. Mayava for USC, 98 of 139, 1587 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 reception. So significantly better QB play for USC than it is for Michigan, and it's at USC. So obviously long distance for Michigan fans to travel, and you USC obviously they'll have a home game. They'll maybe have a decent crowd there. So yeah, this could be a pretty good game. I think I think this could be a pretty good game. Could obviously like Michigan's good. They're a good team. I think this will be an up. Like USC is actually favored by 2.5. I would have thought Michigan been favored. Surprisingly, USC's favored, and I would say I'm picking USC. This is at USC, and with the quarterback difference, I think USC will beat Michigan tomorrow and possibly end up out at least getting votes in the rankings, if not actually ending up in the rankings. So yeah, I think USC is going to win tomorrow. South Carolina Gamecocks versus LSU Tigers. So South Carolina has a 28.4% chance to win. LSU is a 71.6% chance to win. This is at LSU. So South Carolina's unranked 3-2 record. LSU's 11 nation 4-1 record. So yeah, so quarterbacks you have Lenore Sellers for South Carolina, 58-87, 886 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 reception. Garrett Nussmeyer for LSU, 115 and 171, 1159 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 receptions. So this could be a good game. Like neither quarterback, in my opinion, has really lived up to the hype. Like I like both these quarterbacks were very much hyped up. Like I was more hyped up about Nussmeier than I was about Lenora Sellers. Like I was never really high on the Lenora Sellers. I was high on Garrett Nussmeier. Like so this could be a pretty good game, but this is at Death Valley. Like the spread is only at you know 9.5 at the time recording this. It's LSU's being fair, of course. It's LSU. It's at Baton Rouge. South Carolina's unranked. LSU's ranked. Like, and I thought the spread would be higher. That being at LSU, like everyone knows how hard it is to play at LSU. That is well known in college football. Like how tough it is to beat LSU in Death Valley. And I don't think South Carolina's gonna win here. I think LSU is gonna beat South Carolina, possibly by a very, you know, possibly by a very big margin. So yeah, the Tigers will beat the Gamecocks tomorrow. BYU Cougars versus Arizona Wildcats. BYU is a 69.5% chance to win, and Arizona is a 30.5% chance to win. This is at Arizona. So BYU is 18 nation, 5-0 record. Arizona is unranked, 4-1 record. So in quarterbacks, you have Bachmeier for BYU, 79, 115, 1048 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 reception. Fafita for Arizona, 106 out of 164, 1341 yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 receptions. So, better quarterback play out of, Arizona. And, I would say, it's at Arizona. This could be an interesting game. BYU is favored by 2.5. That's really the main reason I'm making a pick on this, just because how low the spread is. Like, otherwise, there's some games I would not give a crap about if the spread wasn't low. So yeah, so I think obviously BYU they're ranked, Arizona's not, so obviously there's a good chance of BYU winning. But I think with it being at Arizona and with the better quarterback play out of Fafita, I think Arizona is gonna pull off the upset and beat BYU tomorrow. Arizona State Sun Devils versus Utah Utes. So Arizona State is a 30.4% chance to win. Utah is 69.6% chance to win. This is at Utah. So Arizona State is 21 nation, 4-1 record. Utah is unranked, 4-1 record. So this could be a pretty good game. Big 12 matchup. So quarterbacks, you have Levitt for Arizona State, 99, 157, 1039 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Dampier for Utah, 111, 153, 1027 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 receptions. Comparable numbers. Not necessarily like big time wild numbers. Like these aren't quarterbacks. Well, honestly, with how much of a crapshoot the Heisman race is right now, they might be contenders. So yeah, this is going to be a big conference game. Could maybe help determine who makes it to the Big 12 championship. And yeah, with this being at Utah and with Arizona State not being the most impressive despite the ranking, I think Utah will beat Arizona State tomorrow. And that's it for picks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my picks. Do you agree with them? Do you not? If you have different picks, you can put them in the comments. But other than that, please like, subscribe, and all that. Thank you for listening, and look forward to the next video.